Hey, what's going on? This is Leo. So obviously AMC here is ripping in the pre-market. It's gotten all the way up. I think I just saw it a moment ago at 24.40 or 24.30. So looks like it's going to gap up this morning unless we get a U-turn here in the pre-market. It looks like price is going to gap up. Hopefully it continues going. Previously I talked about how I didn't think that the APE dividend is going to really do anything. That was just my opinion of it. But it's an opinion, and the thing about opinions is that their opinions are often wrong, but the market never is. So obviously, price is reflecting that it's bullish. That the market is viewing this APE dividend as bullish because it's ripping. What could the price go to as a result of this? It's hard to say. All I know is that price is going up. So what we can do is we can look to the Bollinger Bands to gauge momentum as to when this move could run out of steam. And so we can see that in the history how whenever the Bollinger Bands contract and then we get a price break through them, you notice that when the price moves back below the Bollinger Bands, that's a really good sign that the move is done. We see that here. We see that. This one actually no, but for the most part, if you go back to the squeeze, because here's the difference with this little move, is that this was more of a slow bleed off over many months, whereas whenever you run into a squeeze, it's a forced liquidation event, and the price just goes, and whenever it's done, it's done. That's why the Bollinger Bands are so effective in those types of moves. So if you look here, you can see that, as price is ripping, and then it's run out of steam, and so it moves outside the Bollinger Bands. So if you're watching the Bollinger Bands back then, maybe you can get out around $60, $50, something like that, instead of holding it the entire time. Same thing down here. So it gives you an idea of where price is going. And so the way that I would use these is that, you have your target price in mind. So let's say that this reflects no target of mine. I'm just using it arbitrarily. But let's say that you have a target up here at, say, $100. And the only reason I'm picking 100 is because it's just a round number, and we can see it on the chart. If I compress the chart and have it go higher, it'd be a little difficult to see. But anyway, so let's say that your target up here is $100, and let's say that price gets really, really close to it, goes up to $99, and now it's pulling back and it's falling out of the Bollinger Bands, and let's say that it's at $90 now. Well, is it more likely that, because now what happens is your risk, right? You're risking closing your trade here. Let's say that I'm just going to mark it as yellow. So you're risking closing your trade here to miss out on, because you want to get another $10 of profit. But what happens is that if it runs out of steam, there's the brush tool. Now you're risking all of this as profit. If it starts winding back down, you're going to be sitting there in the trade wondering, okay, it keeps going down. Is it going to go back up? Should I close now? No. Should I, is it going back? Is it going to turn around? It should turn around any minute now. Before you know it, you've all of this profit has bled out because you wanted to hold for that extra $8 or $10 or whatever it may be whenever it falls out of the Bollinger Bands. So the way that I would use this, let's say if this is the start of the squeeze and it's just going to keep ripping, is use it as a gauge to gauge the momentum of the move. And if it starts to move out of the Bollinger Bands and you're really close to profit, why would you not take profit? If it's losing momentum and it starts trending sideways and it starts falling down, that's the thing. Whatever price it may go to, I don't know. It's really hard to gauge that, but this gives you a tool to gauge whenever it's losing momentum. So I think this would be an invaluable tool to keep in hand. And these Bollinger Bands are just, let's see here. So we've got first deviation. All right, so for the lengths on all the Bollinger Bands are 50, and then you just start at 2 on the standard deviation, then it goes 3, and 4 deviation for the red. So those are the settings for it. If you want to see my Bollinger Bands video, I do have that somewhere in my video history. It's think it's called like Bollinger Band settings or something like that. But anyway, so hopefully that gives you an idea and a better understanding of them. I do think that'll be a great tool. And going back to what's causing the move, it's hard to say. After looking at the APE thing, I just don't see a mechanism that would actively force the shorts to cover. That doesn't mean there isn't one. That just means that I didn't see it. So, it's possible that there is some mechanism that I just didn't see or didn't understand that is making them nervous. It's also possible that people are getting excited about the APE dividend, and so now you have a massive amount of buyers coming in and they're buying it up. Hard to say what happens, but I do think that using the Bollinger Bands on either case, if the squeeze is going to go through, great. You can use the Bollinger Bands to kind of gauge what's going to happen. If not, you could use the Bollinger Bands to gauge, if let's just say it's a hype run and people are just getting excited and they're buying it up, and let's say it runs to $50 and then you start seeing it fall out of the Bollinger Bands and lose momentum. Okay, well, that's, you can gauge it. I don't give financial advice, but just do education to kind of help y'all understand the markets better. So I think that pretty much wraps up this video. So until next time, I'll talk to y'all soon.